Honour.
I look very pleased, Mr Chair, to be here and speak to the ACC and the estimates. It's disappointing to have heard the last speaker to have been so angry and frustrated in some ways that the National Government has actually put the ACC books in order and is confidently able to actually start returning levies. And you see, they're yelling and screaming order. They don't like it, you see, because we know exactly the Labor record with ACC, a lot like a number of things that we picked up when we came into government, in bad shape and in disorder. We know that with the claim costs, I've just got a note here, I was noticing the cost of claims increased by about 57% in 4 years under Labor, and an inability to actually run ACC properly and appropriately, sort of a cash cow approach. And it's actually taken the National Government to take the bull by the horns, tidy things up, fix things up, and not only return the books into such a state that we're allowed, enabled rather, Mr Chair, to return levies or reduce levies to return money to Kiwis, but to actually line up and put a focus on not only the care that's required through ACC, but also a focus in prevention, and to have those two line up. So I think we can be very proud of what ACC is doing. I know over recent weeks, actually, within the Select Committee, we had people from the Special Claims Unit of ACC come in and give us a briefing, a really interesting insight into the work that they do, really important work. As a constituent MP, I often get people coming in around ACC issues, and I think it's important to acknowledge that it is a fraught area and more often than not actually causes difficulty for people. Suppose it's one of the roles as a Member of Parliament to try and advocate on those issues. So nothing is perfect by any means, but actually ACC is in good shape and in good form. And we know in the most recent budget, Mr Chair, that we've indicated another total of $480 million worth of levy cuts for Kiwis this year and into next year. Really important. And a lot of that's going to actually focus on the motor vehicle account and the levies therefore on motor vehicles. In fact, Kiwis from next year may well find that their registration costs are down at about $130. And why it's once again we have focused on allowing ACC to do its core job, to do it well, and therefore to return monies to Kiwis where it's due. And all we've heard, unfortunately, from the opposition is a lot of angry vitriol that this might be done at all. So really important there. The levy cuts, though, that have been indicated in the budget are sitting on top of a whole series of levy cuts so far. As of the 1st of April this year, New Zealand has started saving about $387 million in ACC levies over the last year itself. So that's made New Zealand households about $180 better off. And large employers actually could have saved up to $6,000 a year as well in terms of levies. So when we look at what the government does, it's a broad approach, and ACC has been part of that. But a big chunk too is not simply putting the accounts in order. It's not simply trying to provide the best service to Kiwis, but also focusing on that preventative side. And we know that ACC spends a lot of money in this area because it's, well, it's the old adage, Mr Chair, that prevention is better than the cure. And there's been a major reboot in the injury prevention activities of ACC. In fact, we've seen a doubling of the investment into this space. We've also seen, I think it's important to mention, particularly in the light of the report released by Sir Owen Glenn yesterday, that a big focus of ACC and driven by this government is around preventing sexual and family violence. A lot more work working within the educative space to try and put these messages out. As I said at the start, we had the Sensitive Claims Unit come in and talk us through the work that they do. We're also conscious of work that's happening within the integrated services for sensitive claims. This work should go live in November this year. Really important work in that space. And I think one good thing to note in closing in particular around this is the level of care that ACC already provides for people who are seeking assistance because of sexual abuse, domestic and violence and so forth, that they can get 16 hours of immediate support from ACC. A claim has to be lodged, but they don't have to wait for the confirmation of that claim to get help. And it's just a small example of the activities and the changes that are occurring in this space. So returning to where I was at the start, I think we can be rightly proud on this side about the focus of ACC, the work that it's doing, and proud that we are returning money to New Zealanders, that they're not having to pay more in their levies than they need to. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The question is that the report of the Transport and Industrial Relations Committee on the 2012-13 financial review of the Accident Compensation Corporation be noted. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Members, we move now to the Justice and Electoral Committee's report on the